Hello students, how are you all? In previous class, we have discussed about the section 21, section 30, section 31, section 32, section 35, section 36, and under section 36 there are subsections also discussed in the previous class regarding to the income from business and profession. So now, I Dr. Lal Babu Jaiswal also discuss about the section 36 to section 36, section 37, which are related to the expressly allowed expenditure at the time of computing the income from business, at the time of computing the income from profit from the business. So these types of income will be computed as a given provision from section 30 to section 37. So now we are also discuss. Now I am going to discuss about the section 37. Section 37 is called the residuary expenses. Residuary expenses are those expenses which were not covered, which had not been covered in preceding sections, like as a section 30 to section 36 will be covered under section 37, and such types of expenses are called the residuary expenses. बचा हुआ जो अभी तक नहीं हो पाया है, which are not taken place already in previous section, will be covered under the residuary section 37, and section 37 is called residuary expenses. So dear students, first, revenue expenditure incurred for the purpose of carrying on the business profession or vocation. Revenue expenses, any types of revenue expenses which is incurred for the carrying out the business will be allowable under section 37. This is a residuary section under which only business expenses or expenditure is allowable, but not the business losses. Business losses, जैसे that is those arising out of embezzlement, theft, destruction of asset, misappropriation by the employees, etc. The deduction is limited only to the amount actually spent, and does not extend to a reserve created against the contingent liabilities. If any contingent liability is created against these types of expenses, so any types of provisions are not allowable. Any types of funds, any types of reserves and provisions are not allowed at the time of computing the profit from business or income from business. Second one is condition for allowance. Condition for allowance. The following conditions should be fulfilled in order that a particular item or expenditure may be deductible under this section. This is called the condition of allowance. Following condition, these conditions refers the expenditure should not be the nature described in section 30 to section 36. We have also told residuary expenses are those expenses which were not taken place from the section 30 to section 36 will be covered under section 37, and section 37 expenditure should not be the nature described in section 30 to section 36. Second one is it should have been incurred by the assessee in accounting year. Before accounting year or after accounting year, it should not be incurred by the assessee. Accounting year means from 1st April to 31st March. If any expenses which is spent by the business concern are entrepreneur will be called. These expenses are spent in the accounting year. Third one is, it should be in respect of a business carried on by the assessee, the profit of which are being computed and assessed. Those expenses which is spent on such types of business which is not carrying out by the assessee is not allowable under section 37. Dear students, fourth one is, it must have incurred after the business was set up. Before the setting of the business, the expenses are not covered under section 37, that is residuary expenses. Fifth one is, it should not in the nature of any personal expenses of the assessee, any domestic expenses of the assessee, any household expenses of the assessee. It should not be in personal nature. It should be for the operating of the business. It should be related to the running of the business. It should be related to the directly operational purpose of the business. If it is related to the personal purpose, domestic purpose, household purpose, drawing, personal expenses, these are never be allowed. These are never be covered under section 37 of Income Tax Act 1961. बच्चों, please pay attention. Next one is, it should have led for the sixth one is, it should have led out or expended wholly and exclusively for the purpose of such business, not related partially or semi to the other business activities. It should be fully or exclusively related to the operational activities of the business. It should not be in the nature of capital expenditure. It should be revenue expenses. If it is a capital expenditure are never be shown in the debit side of the profit loss account while computing the profit from the business. Dear students, attention please. At the time of preparation of the profit and loss account, revenue nature expenses or expenditure are shown. If any expenses which is spent in capital nature, on capital nature, depreciation allowance will be allowed under section 32 of IT Act 1961. Next one is, the expenditure should not have been incurred by the assessee for any purpose which is an offence or is prohibited by law, like as a penalty, fine, or dand. These types of expenses are called against the law. If any expenses which is spent or incurred by the business concern is related to such types of work which is performed against the law, never be allowed, not be allowed. Dear students, expenditure incurred on Keyman insurance policy. Keyman insurance policy is very famous and known component. Keyman insurance policy. Central Board of Direct Taxes, Circular number 762, 1998, 18 Feb 1998 clarifies that the premium paid on Keyman insurance policy is an allowable business expenditure or expenses. After the circular of Central Board of Direct Taxes, the premium of Keyman insurance policy which is incurred by the business concern will be allowable. Next one is advertisement in souvenir of a political party. If any expenses is related to the advertisement in souvenir of political parties are allowable on the given provision. The provision are related to the section 37 subsection 2b. Disallow any deduction on account of advertisement expenses representing contribution made by any person carrying on business or profession in computing the profit and gains of business or profession. It has specifically been provided that this provision for disallowance would apply notwithstanding anything to contrary contained in section 37 subsection 1. Section 37 subsection 1 is related to those types of expenses which are directly related to the business. Dear students, in other words, we can say the expenditure representing contribution for political parties would become disallowable even in those cases where the expenditure is otherwise incurred by the assessee in his character as a trader and the amount is wholly and exclusively incurred for the purpose of business will be allowable. कोई भी एक्सपेंसेस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी की सोमिनियर के लिए अगर बिजनेस पर्पस के लिए किया गया है, बिजनेस का नेचर ही ऐसा है, तो इट विल बी अलाउएबल अंडर सेक्शन 37 सबसेक्शन 1. And other provision represent accordingly a taxpayer would not be entitled to any deduction in respect of expenses incurred by him on advertisement in any souvenir, brochure, tract or the like published by any political party, whether it is registered with the Election Commission of India or not. Such types of expenses never be allowed if the political party is registered in Election Commission of India or not registered, or local party or regional party or national level party. If any expenses incurred by the business concern regarding these types of expenses on souvenirs, published, tract, brochure, not be allowed as a deduction under section 37 subsection 1 of IT Act 1961. Dear students, this slide represents those types of expenses which is incurred by in case of any assessee. These expenses are not deductible and these expenses are given under section 40 subsection A subclass Roman 1 of IT Act 1961. Dear student, these expenses are any interest, royalty, fees for technical services or other any sum chargeable under this act which is payable outside India. मतलब किसी भी प्रकार का कोई इंटरेस्ट असेसी ने पेमेंट किया है, कोई रॉयल्टी पेमेंट किया है, कोई फीस, कोई टेक्निकल सर्विसेज जो आउटसाइड इंडिया पेमेंट किया गया और ऐसे पर्सन को किया गया जो नॉन रेसिडेंट है, नॉन कारपोरेट है, फॉरेन कंपनी का है, दैट विल नॉट बी अलाउएबल अंडर सेक्शन 40 ऑफ इनकम टैक्स एक्ट 1961. डियर स्टूडेंट्स, सेक्शन 40 subsection small a and subclass Roman 1a represent that 30% of any sum payable to resident on which tax is deductible at source under chapter 10 under chapter 17b shall be disallowed if such tax has not been deducted or such tax after deduction has not been paid on or before due date specified in section 139 subsection 1. Section 139 subsection 1 represent the filing of IT return. फाइलिंग ऑफ IT रिटर्न के डेट तक if the assessee is deducted the tax but not paid to government account, such types of expenses is not deductible under section 40 subsection small a subclass Roman 1a. Dear students, according to section 40 subsection small a clause Roman 2 refers any sum paid on account of any rate or tax levied on profit on the basis of or in proportion to the profit and gains of any business or profession will not be allowed. It should be clarified that the term tax would include and would be deemed to be have always included any surcharge or cess on such tax. Hence, tax including surcharge. Surcharge tax पर टैक्स लगता है, सरचार्ज कहते हैं 10%, ये सब है 10%, 15%, 25%, 37%, and cess would be disallowed while computing business income, and this explanation is given 3 to section 40 subsection A clause Roman 2. Dear students, any sum, कोई भी sum paid किया, कोई भी amount paid किया on account of any rate of tax levied on or profit on the basis of in proportion to profit and gains of business or profession. All types of income tax which is shown in the debit side of the profit and loss account not allowed as a deduction under section 40 subsection A clause Roman 2. Dear students, section 40 subsection small a clause Roman 3rd refers if the assessee paid any sum which is chargeable under the head of salaries, if it is payable outside India or to a non-resident, if any salary is paid by the assessee to such types of person who is a non-resident, and it will be related, it is related to the salary head income, and if the tax has not been paid thereon, are not deducted under chapter 14, under chapter 17b, is not allowable as a deduction under section 40 of IT Act 1961. Dear students, section 40 subsection A clause Roman 4th refers if the assessee paid any contribution to provident fund or fund established for the benefit of employees, unless the assessee has made effective arrangement to make sure that the tax be deducted at source from any payment made from the funds which are chargeable to tax under the head of salary, not allowed as a deduction. किसी भी प्रकार की प्रोविडेंट फंड, पेंशन फंड में any contribution which is contributed by the assessee or business concern not allowed as a deduction under section 40 subsection A clause 4. Section 40 subsection A clause 5th also refers tax on perquisite on behalf of the employee is not deductible if any tax is paid on the perquisite by the employer on behalf of the employee, it never be allowed, is not shown, not deducted under section 40 subsection A clause fifth, Roman fifth. Again, we can say in other words, in the case of an employee deriving income in the nature of perquisite other than monetary payment, मतलब perquisite means other than monetary payment, the amount of tax on such income if paid by his employer is exempt from the tax in the hands of the employee, and also correspondingly such a payment is not allowed as a deduction from the income of the employer. Thus, the payment of tax on non-monetary perquisites by the employer on behalf of the employee will be exempt from the tax in the hands of the employee, but will not be allowable as a deduction in the hands of the employer. Dear students, if any tax is paid by employer on perquisite, will not be allowable as a deduction while we computing the income from business under the head of business and profession. Dear students, there are some types of expenses or payments. These types of expenses or payments are not deductible in certain circumstances. कुछ ऐसी भी परिस्थितियां स्थितियां आती हैं बिजनेस में, उस स्थिति में यदि वो पेमेंट किया गया तो दैट एक्सपेंसेस विल नॉट बी अलाउएबल. Any expenditure incurred in respect of which payment is made to a related person or entity to the extent it is considered excessive or unreasonable by the assessing officer. These types of expenses are called expenses paid not deductible under certain circumstances, and the examples of these expenses are, dear student, individual. If any relative of individual, like as a husband, wife, brother, sister, or any menial accedent or descendants of the individual, if any payment is made by the assessee to the individual, it is not allowable as a deduction. Paid to the firm, any partner of the firm or relative of such a partner, if any payment is made, so this payment is not allowable as a deduction. HUF or AOP, Hindu undivided family or association of person, any member of association of person or Hindu undivided family or any relative of such family, such members, if any sum paid is not allowable as a deduction. Company, in the case of company, director of the company or any relative of the director, if any sum is paid, will not be allowable as a deduction at the time of computing the income from business. Dear student, any assessee, in any assessee, the assessee which is not taken place as an individual, firm, Hindu undivided family, association of person or company, are called the any assessee, any individual who has a substantial interest. Substantial interest means 20% or more voting power or beneficial entitlement to 20% of the profit is called the substantial interest. In the business or profession of the assessee or relative of such individual, if any payment is made, this types of payment is not allowable as a deduction while the computing income from business or profit from the business. Dear students, further provision is given in respect of following sum payable by the assessee during the previous year. Deductible, that during the previous year deduction is allowable only if the sum is actually paid on or before the due date of the filing of IT return under section 139 subsection 1 for the said previous year. Otherwise, the sum would be allowed only in the year in which the sum is actually paid. Dear students, under it, tax, duties, cess, fees, under any law of for time being in force, if it is paid in the relevant previous year, so then it will be allowable. If it is not paid, then it is not allowed. And this types of deduction is called the deduction on the basis of actual payment under section 43B of Income Tax Act 1961. This types of deduction is called certain deduction to be allowed on the basis of actual payment. अगर पेमेंट किया है तभी अलाउ होगा, अदरवाइज अलाउ नहीं होगा. क्या? अगर टैक्स का पेमेंट किया है, ड्यूटी का पेमेंट किया है, फीस का पेमेंट किया है, तभी अलाउ होगा. अगर यही टैक्स ड्यूटी इस साल का अगले साल, अगले के अगले साल कभी पेमेंट करेगा, तो एट द टाइम व्हेन इट विल बी पे, इट विल बी अलाउएबल. इन करंट प्रीवियस ईयर it will not be allowable. Contribution to any provident fund or superannuation fund or gratuity fund or any other fund for the welfare of the employee. If any fund is created for the welfare of the employee and it is actually paid in the current previous year, so then it will be allowable. Otherwise, it will not be allowable as a deduction. Any bonus, commission for service rendered by the employee, where such sum would not be payable to him as a profit or dividend if it had not been paid as a bonus or commission, it will be allowable on the basis of payable, on the basis of paid. कोई भी बोनस कमीशन उनके सर्विस के रेंडर्ड की तरह दिया गया हो तो अलाउबल होगा. अगर उनको डिविडेंड के तौर पर दिया जाए, प्रॉफिट के तौर पर दिया जाए, तो दीज आर नॉट अलाउएबल एज अ डिडक्शन. डियर स्टूडेंट्स, किसी भी प्रकार का इंटरेस्ट, एनी इंटरेस्ट ऑन एनी लोन आर बारोइंग सम्स from any public financial institution or state financial corporation or a state industrial investment corporation in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement governing such loan or borrowing, or if the loan is related to the business or profession, if the loan is taken for carrying out the business, if the loan is related to the running of the business and any interest is paid, then it will be allowable as a deduction. Dear student, interest on any loan or borrowing from notified class of non-banking financial institutions, non-banking financial company in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement governing such loan or borrowing. Any interest on any loan or advance from a scheduled bank, cooperative bank or other than primary agricultural credit society or a primary cooperative agricultural and rural development bank in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement governing such loan or advances are. Dear students, these types of loan, if taken for the purpose of the business, will be allowable as a deduction. Payment, any payment in lieu of any leave at the credit of the employees will be allowable on the basis of paid. Any sum payable to Indian Railway for use of railway asset will be allowable as a deduction. Dear students, Further, I am going to discuss about the taxability in the case of composite income. Composite income is the income which is included other than business income. Like as in the case of where the income is derived from the sale of rubber manufactured or processed from rubber plant grown by the seller in India, coffee, tea, grown and cured, roasted, grounded by the seller or India, the income shall be computed as it were derived from the business. वैसे जैसे बिजनेस से हो रहा वैसे इसका कंप्यूटेशन होगा एंड स्पेसिफाइड परसेंटेज इज गिवन इन इनकम टैक्स प्रोविजन like as agriculture income and business income will be. This slide represent if the composite income like as a sale of tea, coffee, roasted tea, coffee, rubber. So this slide represent such types of income. 35% income will be treated as a business income and 65% will be agriculture income in case of income from sale of rubber products derived from rubber plants grown by the seller in India. 25% will be business income for such types of income from sale of coffee grown and cured by the seller in India, grown and cured, roasted and grounded by the seller in India. 40% will be treated as a business income. 40% will be business as 40% of the income will be treated as a business income for those income for sale of tea grown and manufactured by seller in India. So these incomes are called composite income. Composite incomes are the income in which business income as well as agriculture incomes are included. Indian agriculture income is exempt under section 10 subsection 1 of IT Act 1961. So this slide is representing the about the composite income. कितना पार्ट एग्रीकल्चर इनकम का है, कितना पार्ट बिजनेस इनकम का है. बिजनेस इनकम को बिजनेस इनकम के हेड में ले जाएंगे और एग्रीकल्चर इनकम को टैक्स से फ्री किया जाएगा. Dear students, today class is related to the section 37 subsection 1 residuary expenses. Today class is also related to the such types of expenses which is allowable on the basis of payment and such types of expenses is allowable on the basis of some certain circumstances. And as well as about the composite income. So with this class, I hope you all got each and every concept regarding the today class. Further, I will discuss with some case study of income from business. So thanks to all of you. Again, I will meet with the further provision with the further class. So again, thanks to all of you.